explosive on the show. We had 3 straight guests, and we centered the conversation around the ongoing nationwide strike. Today is the 6th. I saw videos of the end bad governance protest in Port Harcourt, Rivers State today, and it leaves a lot to desire. The outcome of these civil how do I put it now, occurrence or actions, as much as the constitution respect that, it has turned out in some states to the point that curfew had been declared in quite a few northern states. Yesterday I had the Commissioner for Information Plateau State, Honorable Musa Ashom, join me on that today. The governor of the state, His Excellency Governor Caleb Manasseh Mufwang, also gave a state of the nation. Plateau has been peaceful. In fact, it has gotten a lot of recommendations from the entire country. The peaceful conduct of protesters on Friday, the Muslim prayer was held at the protest ground. On Sunday, there was interdenominational service that was held on the protest ground as well. But by afternoon of Sunday, there were a lot of twists and turns, and then the conversation was changing, and then it got to the point where they were disrupting that conversation yesterday. We also had the activist and lawyer DG Adeyanju also joined me on the show via phone from Abuja. He took us through how it's been in Abuja, the protest, the back and forth between the government and the protesters, peaceful or not peaceful. He also told us that about 80 protesters are locked up in different police cells and DSS custodies, and then they're working on getting those protesters out. Quite a lot of lawyers already, offering pro bono services just to make sure that those people get, out of those cells as quick as possible. And my last guest yesterday was Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mᴜɪᴜ, the former chief press secretary to former governor of Kogi State, the missing man, like my mentor used to call him, Yaya Bello. She told us about the responsibility of the citizens themselves in terms of understanding the limit of your rights, as much as the Constitution section 40 allows you the right to protest. What happens to the right of the other people as well? We're going to be focusing on expanding that conversation on the show today. My thing popped up really late, said it got caught. It helps us to bring the and like I said, my guest today is Barrister Adams Atta, and he joins me via phone. Today on the show, we're going to look at, like I said, we're going to expand more the conversation. I've always wondered if the citizens truly does, especially what the demand of the Section 40 of the Nigerian 1999 Constitution has amended places on them. Why does this also place the responsibility on the country? Russian flag get involved with old vehicles in Kaduna. Why do people have to loot in Kaduna? As at yesterday, about 873 suspects were reportedly arrested all through yesterday and different part of Kaduna for disrupting the protest or constituting nuisance and causing chaos during the protest. And you look at it, and I've always wondered again, if you're going for a peaceful protest, what are you going there to with cutlasses? What are you going there with knives? What are you going to do with bottles? What are you going to do with stones and clubs and weapons and shovel when you're going for a peaceful protest? Barrister Adams Atta would help us understand some of these things today and the legitimacy, or is the flag of another country. We get to do this every Mondays to Fridays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. My name is Ōkpeyemi Akin. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the show today. Barrister Adams Atta, I'm glad to have you on the other side of the.
Thank you for having me today, and my apology for not being in the studio.
It's understandable. Before you listen to my intro, but before we even get into the conversation, a lot has happened in this country in the last general of police, the conversation of the chief of army staff, chief of the build up, the politicians appealing to Nigerians not to go to the street to protest. Whoever goes to exercise their constitutional rights as provided in section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution. The build-up was huge, to the fact that a friend of mine that works at the airport told me that in one night he saw about 12 politicians he could identify clearly leaving the country. Barrister Adams Atta, from a government that benefited so much from protest, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will go down in memory, in history, as probably the man that has led the most protests in the history of this country, especially during the military era. He protested against a change of government from military to civilian. he protested within the same system of government. Remember the 2012 Occupy Nigeria protests. Did you think, or how did you feel, especially being a lawyer that you are, the reaction of every protest started? What did you make of the whole tension, the whole heightened environment? It's almost like, you know, there's a gas leak somewhere, and every little.
We start by laying foundation and by congratulating the era. At least the well-deserved message is well passed to the government. The government, for once, is beginning. The whole system is anchored on the growth of Nigerian welfare, and the youth are coming out to fight for freedom. Freedom is not easy. That's the proper foundation. And let me probably go further to the looting, the excess in the protest, and the unbecoming from youth in the process of exercising their constitutional rights. All these things is anchored on bad leadership. Because if the government people are out, people are angry. People are interpreting the provisions of the constitution to suit them, and that's why you see some people they go out to steal items, theft, stealing, and then killing people recklessly. That is not the intention. That is not the original intention of the constitution. The intention of the constitution is a peaceful protest. It's a civil setting. It's not where people come out to loot. Let us also note that in as much as the constitution talks about peaceful protest, section 40 of the 1999 constitution, the same constitution talks about, section 14 talks about being created for business to grow. So for that, and by all implication and standards, people and their property is well taken care of. So the government will not sit back and allow hoodlums, hijackers to come out and be stealing people's property and destroy people's property. The government ought to, because the speech of Mr. President that failed to address all the issues that was raised by the youth is long overdue. The president ought to have addressed the youth or the nation before that process, at least not even 1 or 2 or 3 times that people have been requesting to hear from the president. And this is not the first time Mr. President is refusing to address the nation. It happened under the immediate administration. They are used to, if they are mute, it speaks and spark a lot of violence in a country like Nigeria. So you must at all times come out to address the nation when you are called upon, when the situation demands. So for me, as to what we experience towards the build up, people going to Aᴜ to partake in their own share of the whole exercise and then come out and say, don't go on protest this and that and everything. I don't think that is what is needed. The government.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about since last week Thursday and today. That's the protest ground at Ojota, because locations, and by the time we got there on Thursday morning, people were gathering. You know, a couple of other states did not join in Abuja. It started off from the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. That's the national stadium. In Kano, it started off from Tuniwada. You know, that's like killing, you know, a whole like quite a number, you know, as someone that had gone to stand pro bono for people that have been picked up during protest. How much more do you think the government responding to all of the build up to the protest, how much more do you think will have prevented all of this chaos that we have right now? Barrister Adams Atta, Kaduna is under curfew, Kano is under curfew. A part of other states within the north are also under heavy protection of security agencies. Because of some places, the fear of, you know, hoodlums hijacking, a couple of places, the hoodlums already hijacking. There's no justification for all of this evil. You and I know that. But if there has been response from the government, especially a protest that had been won almost about 2 weeks before the D-Day, how much more do you think all of this will have been avoided?
The government addressed the whole issue that the youth raised from the time they steps. The government knows where the lacunas and the loopholes is. Since then, played it during before they entered, before they put in the Jonathan era, wherein the current president and others they gathered at Ojota and series of other places. Even most of those people that came out to protest that time, They refuse to come out this time. Where is the likes of Falana we do it? The nation, how much is it the fuel as at that time? 100 and 100, it's not even with that same amount. If you compare and contrast it with the same currently, you will buy about, you use that same amount to buy. The burden, what we experience, the whole system collapsing within these few days is because of the fact that the government have refused to accept the fact that the burden of youth is on them. Yes, all the mess up is from the government, and I will say it at all times. Because if it were that the government started addressing all the issues, all this wouldn't have happened. When you take steps, people will not come out. People say, oh, we want to give him 6 months, we will give him another additional 1 day, and an inciting comment, like a mocking comment that will incite the youth, as if the youth don't know what they are doing, the system is bad, it's affecting them, it's reckless, and then burden of guilt is on the government. My imperfection, the fact that we have not been doing well, we want to start highlighting audio money on social on air, just like Mr. President's speech on air. Up to date, all those money, who can confidently tell me now that he has benefited from all those money that Mr. President claimed that at the beginning of everything? Come out and publicly say for rule of law and the welfareism of their country in the speech of Mr. President. And that's what later sparked the further protest after Mr. President's speech. So that is how it is.
Questions. You've kind of tried to hold government accountable and responsible for some of the things we're seeing. But let's now talk about the citizens themselves. One of the things you cannot take away is the fact that a lot of abnormalities usually come up during protests. See, the times when these things happen, we always see almost the things that, whether you are coming from the school of thought that thinks, it's the government that is sponsoring this one, or individuals are doing this, right to protest, but it does not give you the right to loot other people's stores. It does not even give you the right to destroy and attack the residence of politicians or public office holders, because you assume that that's right.
Let me start by saying that bad intention. There are people who have been instigated. Having identified this class of people, I also want to say that, one, if the government is bad, the particular government sponsor them. You will recall that during the protest under Baba, we didn't see any opposition that was countering, that came out publicly to counter the people that came out. People in Lagos State, wherein a video circulating all over the air, where people came out, they Muslims and all, they came out and they were assaulting the people that came out to protest. And those people were being protected by security personnel. The video is all over. The same people, the same antics, these governments have been. What about the people that want the protest? Is it that the people that don't want the protest, they are buying Maggi, they are buying salt, they are buying yam from another unit? No, that is not it. So this is our constitutional right. So that alone can even spark the whole exercise. Then one, and then furthermore, you have asked that you have the right to protest. Is that right an absolute right? Well, it's an absolute right. But if it is an absolute right to an extent, because where your own right starts and begins, somebody's right is in between. Somebody's right is also to not protect you from being arrested if it suspects that somebody is about to commit an offense. Number one, if he has committed the offense and he has left the venue of the offense, the policeman can place him and arrest you now, and I see that I can suspect that you are about to commit an offense. I have the constitutional right to arrest you. I will not wait until you commit that offense, because Section 4 of the Police Act places a burden on the police to ensure that, by all standards, that is how it is. So people that are taking the law into their hands, no law protects any lawlessness. Some youth are played into the hand of government. And that's why the government will always make noise and want to hide under their advantage to steal their fellow Nigerian property. And they claim that they are also out for protest. So for me, the government should arrest those people, because the provisions of the Constitution, and particularly Section 40 that talks about the right for peaceful association, the right that you can go out for peaceful protest, does not prohibit, or that is how it is.
Exactly what I'm actually looking for. I just want us to establish that fact, and I want it to be established from the legal point of view that the law or the rights that the Constitution places on you to protest is not an and pitch. In fact, I saw one this red flag is being sown in large. Said in every country, an offense is that when you hoist other flag or you decide to raise other flags in a country all under the guise of protest.
Well, let me start by by flagging the national to unseat the sitting government. I into that. But in simplicity, I want to condemn the move of those people, because if you look at the provisions of the Constitution, which is the ground, which is the basic, which is the father of all our laws in Nigeria, the Constitution says that the country named Nigeria is a sovereign state. A state, Nigeria is a state under international law. So, and then for you to be recognized internationally, it therefore presupposes that you have that sovereignty. You are independent on your own. Nobody can come and then make decisions for you. You have that basic right and amenity for you to be a nation. You must have passed through the procedure for you to become a nation. So for those people who are calling on Russian government to come and take over our dear country, it is lawlessness, it is anarchy, it's an abuse of our sovereign Russian flag in our dear country, the national flag, or whether you are seen with that single offense. It's very I thank God that they have been arrested. The government should prosecute them and then use that to deter others from taking subsequent steps. That is it. It's a very big offense. It's not even available to go over and unseat a sitting government. It's a very big offense.
Or let's assume that we'll all agree that it's a treasonable of the sovereignty of another government. But it takes us back to one particular question, which is the idea of patriotism in this country. When you start seeing those flags, because it started off a few days ago, we started seeing them in ones and in twos, in Tᴜnūwàdà, the head cover with the same color of flag. Is it that the people doing it don't understand the gravity of that, or it is just in a way of disregard? What comes to your mind when you see the green and white flag? What comes to your mind when you see the coat of arms? What comes to your mind when you walk into a public space? Does that tell us about the level of awareness that the citizens truly have, or you think there are political undertones to all of this?
I really cannot say whether they are political undertones, because I don't have any facts to substantiate that fact. This is the first time this is happening in our dear country. This is the first time in a long time. That shows that the people are beginning. We have to speak to the system. They really don't know what they are enjoying here. Because if it comes to freedom of human rights, you will agree with me that we benefit more in this part of the world than even in Russia they are calling upon. The Russian government that somebody has been ruling for almost 20 years, thereabouts, or 15 years, thereabouts. Is that what you want to pray for? That's my word for them. You don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. So what we have here is a copycat to an extent, even though it's not a true federal system or democracy. But at least it's a copycat to an extent from the American of a black man will not allow us to practice it properly. Even in America, they are not getting it right. They continue to have this lacuna and then improvise on a daily basis, improve on a daily basis. That is how life is. You continue to grow on a daily basis. So we are going to get there, but where we are now, I literally don't see why they should call upon a Russian government to come and take over our dear country. So these people, they are not, if you look at it from the government part, you also look at it from another part, which is the fact that these people are beginning, if they are being arranged for treatment, that awareness is there, the particular community.
Shows that you're a member of that community.
Shows that you are in Nigeria. So you cannot hide under any defense beyond just the flagging of the Russian flag. Don't you also see the part that some other people were calling for the military to take over? Don't you
right to the face of
the military can arrest them? To arrest somebody is not just narrow that person. Hand over the person to the police. They are to take over in their presence. Don't you also see the lawlessness and the anarchy, where they went and that alone will instigate foreigners, Boko Haram, ISIS, and then some other movements, some other terrorists to come and negotiate with these people and then want to take advantage of our security architect in Nigeria. So for me, I don't think these people have any defense. When there was a protest in Lagos State, we don't record those kind of lawlessness, even though the last protest in Lagos State, the NSAS protest, people looted, people did this and that and everything. But you know they have their limits. They destroyed a lot of things in that process. The High Court at Boshere, and then there's a building conspicuously facing a bookshop house at what is it called? CMS. All they did to what is security wise. That's why you need that court order, because by law you have to obey it until they set aside. And apart from that, that court order for me, I think it's fine, it's valid, because of every need to narrow people down to a particular place. And it's even more beautiful because all you need to do is to gather all the press all over the tradition. As I did, it will be the security architect. You can see everybody, all negotiators. These people are even close to realize. The protest that Mr. President participated as well under President Jonathan, Femi Falana, Wole Soyinka, and every other person, it was a Ganipa when we back. You don't need to be littered all around before you convey your message. Any protest, from the experience you have had, any protest that is all within the city, that is littered all around, it is not a protest. They have an ugly intention. It's either they want to rob the nation, or they have other, because look at what we're experiencing in the north. And for me, I've been saying it, come out 8 p.m. in the morning and then go back to your house by 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. in the morning, in the evening. What are you going to do overnight? You want to expose yourself to risk? So that's my position.
Thank you very much, but it's okay. Barrister Adams Atta is a legal practitioner, is a resource man, awareness and responsibility. On the back of we've seen looting, we've seen these things, then the protesters are also to life, the other people at risk. It's not such a good situation. So we're looking at it, their citizens and civic responsibilities, the ongoing before we come into that, the president addressed the nation on Sunday morning. And there's been a lot of reaction. The speech did not exist. That is also under curfew, or some local government are under curfew. This week, I had Sheikh Gumi on the show. He also talked about the presidential candidate of African Action Congress, Omoyele was also on the show. Everybody had the same position. Sowore said 15 or nothing, their demands. But when you listen to the speech of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Sunday, now this is not you as a lawyer. Let me ask you as a public affairs analyst that you also double as. When you listen to that speech or when you watched that speech, unfortunately that the speech was even within the public space hours before the president gave it, which is a question on the information managers of the president, by the way. But let's keep that to one side. When you listen to that speech or when you watched that speech, did you think you're looking forward to in that speech?
Well, I was looking at a relief. You know, when a father talks to a son, because a relationship of the youth and every other youth and every other Nigerian, they are under his arm. And that's what we call a leader. As a leader, you must be people. That is the beginning of everything. It is when you recognize their needs. So I was expecting, before even the speech, I was expecting Mr. President to address issues that relate to bad governance. Same people in the system, they continue to reappoint them to come back to the system. And then it's present the position you occupy. It's supposed to be there. Apart from making by first one to section 4 of the 1999 Constitution, apart from the fact that it's part of the and the executive arm of the government. Up to date, we have not seen any sign of commitment. Any sign or any sincere commitment of check and balances from the legislative arm. That is one. Then number two, I was equally expecting a relief from it. I don't see any sign of relief from that. The people are not relieved. And then that part number three, the youth also talk about hunger, because if you look at the branding and the destination of this process, you see end bad government and then end bad governance, and then hunger protest. The people are saying they are hungry. Of the truth, I saw a provision where Mr. President said that they have made provision. Welcome that, even as much as people are closing their eyes to that fact, at least address the issue of the issue raised. The major three issues raised is the issue of hunger and then bad governance. Mr. President has said they have started production. Look at the Dangote refinery; it's finding it so hard export all over the federation. Up to date, we have not received it. You have spent 1 year in power, inflicting hardship to people's body. It is only when people came out and demand that you are now using that to entice them. When people started, because you will recall that this protest you have seen, people have been talking about it for the past 2 to 3 months. They have designated the date for the past 2 to 3 months. What's stopping from?
I remember, I think on Sunday, protest, and what he said was that, oh, I can't get involved with protests that don't have faces behind them. They didn't exactly have leaders to this protest. So if you say the president should have dialogue with people, with who exactly is he going to dialogue with?
Nigerians. Dialogue with Nigerians. Let him start speaking to the governor. Because let me tell you something. It is evident and it's obvious that the governors are governors, because we cannot continue to channel our grievances to presidency alone. And if more fund is coming to the state, then what is now happening to that more fund? If assuming the state is more money is now coming to the state, 10 billion. So people need to demand for good governance and accountability from the grassroots. Yes, that's how with this government is that when people come out and cry, they will start looking for, and then he introduce some satellite market. Now they are no longer in operation. So this government is like they are sleeping. They only remember people when they are being called upon, and then after 2 to 3 months, they will go back to their sleep. It's just like somebody you wake up 1 a.m. midnight, and then after talking to you, and then you ask him to read his book. If you go and sleep, he himself will go and sleep. That is how this government is operating. This Lagos State government came on board with a market where you go there, and then all over Lagos State, immediately after the removal of that fuel subsidy, and then he said that you go there, you buy this and that and everything. Where is the market? The market is no longer in operation. Number two, this government came on board when after the removal of fuel subsidy, Mr. President came on board and talked about the buses all over the federation. Up to date, no buses. I have not seen any bus in Lagos State apart from the BRT. And audio promise survive on that. He brought you out. This is just a warning, a clear warning. This government is up to 1 to 2 years, and then this lawlessness and anarchy is coming on board. It's a build of the constitution as time, back, and as situation.
Let you go. Let me also ask you on the need to have, or the gap between the governed and the government is getting wider by the day. And one of the things that people would always push forward is that there had to be constant conversation and constant dialogue. That is being alleged by a lot of lawyers standing in gap for the arrested protesters would probably not have come up. The curfews that are in some states that are denying people, especially people that literally live on what is during COVID. We knew that this was a pandemic. We moved into day 6 of the protest. I mean, there were nothing of such at Ojota today, but we saw videos in Rivers State. It's still going on strong in some other state as well. Do you think that we've achieved, or the people have achieved anything whatsoever with this protest? Or you feel at this point, with the speech of Mr. President, with the appeal that a lot of people have said, even some learned colleague had also come out and said that, hey, we should relax a little bit and let the government take actions. What is your they want to do?
Well, the message is well passed. There is time for everything. There is time to come and there is time to go. So the message is well passed. They say that a good masquerade that knows how to dance to know when to leave the stage back. Now that the whole exercise is being hijacked by hoodlums and criminals, I don't want the government to take advantage of that and continue to arrest innocent and then people with good intention I don't want the government to announce of the constitution. If your life is being taken away, either lawfully or unlawfully, because there are two ways. It's either taken away lawfully. It's even three ways. It's either God take it, or it's being taken away lawfully by court order, or it's taken, or is it taken away unlawfully by hooligan, or otherwise. So I want to advise openly that the youth should retire back and then give the government a reasonable time. Apparently till next year, the year is coming to an end. It's about the month number 7 or 8, thereabout 8. And then we have about 4 months to go. It's a good time for us to put ourselves in order and then rebound back by next year if the government fails to address all these issues. The truth does south. You are from the southeast, you are from the middle belt, or any part of life. So as the situation unfolds, people will openly cry out, and then they will come out to their senses. For those that are saying we don't want protest this and that and everything, for those that was arrested 2 days ago, the government should do something forceful.
Thank you so much, Barrister Adams. I needed to draw you out of a very where you can join us live in the studio, because it's always my pleasure to have you. You know, the one-on-one is always different. Your final word before we say our goodbyes on the show.
Congratulations to all to flag the national flag of a country that is a threat to the whole world in our dear country. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Barrister Adams Atta. Barrister Adams Atta is a legal responsibilities that is expected of us as citizens, and also what is expected of the government. For every society to grow and make progress, there has to be a cordial relationship between the government and the governed. But you look at the gulf of class between the people right now, you hardly ever see the middle class anymore. Someone was making reference to the government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In this country, you could still be a middle class. You're not earning so big, and then you're okay, you're comfortable, you can afford a decent meal, a decent accommodation, a decent car maybe. But look at where we are right now. It seems it's a whole lot of mess, which is quite unfortunate. From the from the ports, I just told him, I said, bro, it's better you just send in money and then just buy a car for your mom directly from Nigeria. It's not a good time. We understand the government drive for of the people. We understand times are tough. It is not just a Nigerian thing, but then the people deserve the right to good life. And when the government says people should compromise, they all say, oh, Nigerians, you have to make sacrifices. Are you not a part of, are you not a Nigerian as a governor when you have like 20 cars in your convoy? Are you not in, allowances that are almost times 1,000 of the minimum wage of the country? You are also a Nigerian. So we should lead from the front. We should lead by example so that people will know that, yes, this one by 5:30, but we need to quickly pay some bills. When we come back, the phone lines have been buzzing. Your messages, we'll go through all of that, and then we say our goodbyes on the show. It's a Situation Room live on Milan 98.3 FM, and I'll be right back.
Oga Police, no worry, I see you. You know you can do the right thing, right? You know you can do without the assault that citizen whom you have sworn an oath to ago. It's no news that the government has not done enough by you. We feel your pain and we wish things could be different as we continue to call on government to wake up to their responsibilities. We want the police to be our friends, just as it is boldly stated across the various police stations nationwide. And from mainland 98.3 FM, we implore you to do better. We love you and we support you.
The sound of Lagos. But there is more. Most apps have data saver modes. Activate them to control data usage. You can also go to settings to turn off auto updates. Lastly, close unused apps to save data when you ain't using your apps. These changes can make a big difference. For more information, visit your mobile operator's website or consumer.ncc.gov.ng for more helpful tips. Stay connected and enjoy smarter data usage. This message is brought to you by the Association of Telecom Operators and Nigerian Communications Commission.
Attention everyone, this is an important message about cholera.
Cholera is a serious disease, but we can stop it together.
Remember to always drink clean, safe water. Boil or treat your water before drinking.
Wash your hands with soap and clean water, especially before eating and after using the toilet.
Cook your food thoroughly and eat it while it is hot.
Keep your surroundings clean and dispose of waste properly.
If you or anyone you know shows symptoms like severe diarrhea or vomiting, seek medical help immediately.
Together, we can beat cholera.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
They find ways to save your data. You go first start out with your apps. Delete apps where you know they use but other things auto updates them. Then make you also close apps where you know they use to mobile operator website or consumer.ncc.gov.ng for better tips. Make we dey connect and enjoy our data use well. This message they come from the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators wey join body with the Nigerian Communication Commission.
Open defecation in Nigeria perpetuates a cycle of poor health, environmental degradation, and undermines human dignity. With approximately 47 million people practicing open defecation nationwide, Nigeria ranks among the top countries globally with the highest number of our general well-being. In that light, we from Mainland 98.3 FM call on the government to increase its efforts in providing public toilets to end this scourge, and we also encourage the citizenry to imbibe proper hygiene and not defecate in public.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said we were?
Looking for ways to save your data? It starts with your apps. Deleting unused apps helps, but there is more. Most apps. Lastly, close unused apps to save data when you ain't using your apps. NG for Mortals and Nigerian Communications Commission.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.
I wish around nationhood and development. We have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. The ability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance, it's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join 𝐴̀kpẹ̀yẹmí as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and we welcome you as we discuss the situations.
Welcome back, and we have about 20 minutes or thereabout to say our goodbyes on the show, and it's the Tuesday. We'll be back to take you through the world of sport on Sport Cruise from 6 to 7 p.m. Amazing performances from the athletes from Team Nigeria today, from 200 meters to 400 meters. were just making good, and they were making the country proud. Let's hope that we'll be able to, get up some medals before the end of the week, because all of those gist by 6 o'clock during Sports Cruise. We're back in the mainland FM studios, and this is the situation. Don't forget the big one tomorrow, midweek politics from 1 to 3 p.m. Said Fuad, Victor Achibong, and myself will take you through the world of politics. Hard facts, deep conversation beyond the regular news or stories you get to pick from your regular outlets. That one for tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m. 120 straight minute, no break, no advert, just hard facts and hard political conversation. But hey, let me pick your calls and let me also read your messages. Barrister Adams Atta joining me on the show today from 4 to 5 p.m. and then we'll look at the responsibilities that is placed on us as individuals or as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to not just respect the right of other people, but to also know that none of those rights are absolute. That means it can also be challenged. That is why you cannot raise a flag of another country in your own country. It's a treasonable offense. And I can tell you for a fact that for everyone arrested doing all of that, the government will deal with them like the criminals that they are. I mean, you also go around looting other people's shops of that. Big shout out to everyone that have kept it safe and seen. The scar of the NSAS protest are still live with us. And Lagos Shazafra, you know what? Protect them at all costs. Their business is their interest, so that we don't inflict more pains on ourselves. Let me talk to Mr. Josh.
I told all these organizers, I said, see, back fuel subsidy, make our refineries work, open land borders, INEC chairman must go. You be, yes, you remove subsidy and we have more money now. Of course, we are not seeing the money and we are not seeing this palliative. The thing we should be agitating for, the first one, should be, okay, since you are not, we are not receiving the palliative and the money, we need to survive. If I pay, like now, I spend almost 40% of my salary on transport.
Mr. Gege.
If I can reduce it to around maybe 10%.
Mr. Gege.
Electricity, yes? President Tᴜnūbù is there to serve us. In fact, I supported the removal of subsidy. But then, this is hardship. Do you know the biggest hardship in the world is the inability for you to honest. You know, you don't give excuse. Your children want to eat. We're talking about immediate.
Thank you. I really want to have enough time to pick a lot of calls on the show today. Mr. Kayode, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Come back. Or probably there should be a reduction. They need to look at these things a bit critically. Because you would always ask yourself, do you want to go back to using 60% of our revenue to pay for subsidy? So, if you put all these things together, people need to understand that at a time we were paying subsidy. Now we say we don't want to pay subsidy anymore. Is there a reason for that? We can understand that yes, there are challenges, there are hardships, there are pains and all of that. But on the long run, which one will pay Nigeria more? Giving more money to the people or allowing those monies be filtered away? Is there a better way we can look at how to increase revenue such that on the long run everybody would enjoy it through the CBNs and Pollard? Reduction in fuel will give us a better economy by paying subsidy, with what we have seen would likely not work.
Thank you.
So I would urge and beg the people, let's just manage through this period and trust the process. We'll get better. Thank you very much.
Very much. Arsenal fans have been trusted. Government officials were leaving the country and highlight how bad it was expected. The hunger and anger in the land would be hard to quell, especially if the governors and reps in their states are not doing their jobs as they should. Larry Olakomi says, I'm anxiously looking for the day when we shall have comrades, activists, or members of civil society organizations as our president and enthusiastically see if the narrative. What is a protest without a demand? How have the government addressed the demand? Government is never transparent and sincere. Patrick Obiazo says that I think that the government was rather chasing shadows after imaginary politicians who, according to underestimated the resolve of Nigerians, especially the youth, to organize and undertake any successful protest in the view of their tribal, religious and ethnic divisions that they politically created to divide the country and the people. To those hoisting the Russian flag and their sponsors, they should be brought to justice. We cannot divorce the from all of this from the narrative of those that are still and in their fear. Their protests may result in burning down things that kept churning out wrong narratives that the people can counter protest. Even the law did not mention counter protest. Okay, we know. Thank you. Case Holy says, this barrister, your guest is APC. The man is okay. Okay. Case Holy says, Okpayemi is a Yoruba man, and most the fact that I'm a Yoruba man, by the way, but hey, this is my job, and it has absolutely nothing to do with my tribal, alliance. It's a choice that I've made to be objective in all I do, but the choice of the tribe I belong to was not the one I made. You're liking the old set of politicians. In 2006, the FCC chairman Nuribadu came before the Nigerian Senate and listed 5 most corrupt governors in Nigeria. They include WG=SOᴚsAᴘᴘ of Abia State, Ahmed Bola Tinubu of Lagos, Ahmed Sani Yerima of Zamfara, George Akume of Benue, Chimaroke Namani of Enugu State. Today in 2024, 18 years after, WG=SOᴚsAᴘᴘ is in the Senate, Ahmed Yerima is the senator, George Akume is now appointed by Tinubu as the SGF, and Chimaroke is also a senator. Okay, Basil Chika says the height of insensitivity in the GAP protest address, which can best be described as a big slap on hungry Nigerian faces. Oluwadamilare Michael Samuel rather says, on the issue of this protest, let the protest stop by now, because I believe there's nothing the government can do as long as the president did not address those issues raised by the protesters. What they want to do is what they are doing now. Let's just wait till 2027 if we're not being hypnotized again. Patrick Obeazo says, with good government and less propaganda and blackmail, all these think that the protest would end up like the NLC protests, where they easily break their ranks and come out, try to continue disturbing and distracting the street of Lagos and enjoying the peace. Okay, that's from Alaba Alakwi. Thank you very much.
Mr. James calling from Agbade Junction.
You're welcome, Mr. James.
As much as I'm against the action of those when Nigerians wave Nigerian flag, when Nigerian army arrive at Lᴇឭ gate, telling them that we are working together for the betterment of this country. What happened at the end of the day, we know the end thereof. So maybe maybe could be one of the reasons why they decided, okay, what about if we do what Lᴇ<hesitation>gate people did? We may end up the way they ended, but that's not withstanding. I will not support that.
Exactly.
Now again,
I was going to take care of that. There's no justification for that.
No
None
justification.
whatsoever.
It's condemnable. So again, your guest was talking about maybe if you want to protest, you go to maybe a secluded kind of one place. See, that is not a convention. It's only on convention one can do that. Protest can be held anywhere. Can be held across the whole country. So that is why I say I want to correct that notion. It's not so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm enjoying
a couple of your messages. This one says, we need to talk so much about what the CSOs are saying. Very truthful and patriotic Nigerians are saying it. The government is suffering from self-deceit and lack of foresight. They knew the truth about the failure of the Buhari government but refused to admit it for political reasons, and now they are multiplying the problem with too many wrong policies. It is one story or the other. The CNG buses today and another one tomorrow. You don't have it. It's simple. A sorry case for Nigerians, and it appears that our way to salvation is not near at all. That's Steve from Ichaniki. Thank you very much for the speech. It was a disaster. You can't build your government on lies and propaganda. I want to ask, are we in a democracy? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll need to hold your thoughts there, and I'll quickly pick your calls. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
You are great. I've been listening to you all every day since your program.
Thank you.
Today is my first calling.
Oh,
I'm calling from Alagbado.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Your name?
Me that issue of flag.
Okay.
You hear me? You watch American. What is happening in America and the Gaza? People are waving Israeli flag. People are waving different flag in America. Has anybody arrested them? Go to in front of many cars in Nigeria. You see American flag. You see Canadian flag. You see your flag of many countries. Even Ghana boys flag their flag in front of their motor. Let's allow people to have peace.
Let me engage you for a minute. maybe Afghanistan or Iran, those people are actually Afghanistans in the US. They're actually protesting that maybe the war that is going on in Afghanistan or the war that is going on between these states. We're not in a war situation in this country. So you can't compare what is happening on the street of New York, where maybe Iraqis that are that have dual citizenship, or people that are from Ukraine that are protesting the war that is going on. So let us get this straight. There's no justification for the old flag conversation, and whatever the government wants to do in respect to whoever must have been arrested doing that, I think it should send a strong signal to whoever it is that is behind it. Whether it is the government needs to be very, very particular about it and deal with it so that it doesn't repeat itself again. That is my stand. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Patrick. I'm calling for both.
Mr. Patrick, good to have you on the show today.
Yeah, I think this LCD has gone. I've said I'm not because I'm a trader. I buy goods of, let's say, 10,000. I mean, the landing cost of fuel is 1,100 and something, 1,100 naira. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, if truly the landing cost is 1,150 naira, like you said, and I will buy it at 800, 700, depending on what part of the country you are, that means the government is subsidizing what is on top of it for you. Thank you. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good to have you on the show today.
Good evening.
I'm with you. Your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Silas. I'm calling from Mota.
Mr. Silas, all the way from Mota. Please straight to the point.
Right. You can see that what is happening concerning the violent protests in the north. It's simply the exhibition of the failure of the government over time. I don't know where Amadiri school, I don't know if it's still existing now. And look at the entire, look at over 50% of the protesters there. I know they don't have, you can't trace them to any family.
Unfortunately.
You agree with me? Meaning that they are living their life just, any money, all their life saving is in their pocket there. It is simple as that. Now, the people are not crying that they are hungry. Rather than going straight to address the issue, you are intimidating them. You are threatening them. You get it? Each time I look at, in fact, they are getting right, we are going to be enslaved. As simple as that. So, put a stop on wastage in governance.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I wish I had all of the time in the world to take all of your calls. Unfortunately, I can't. But there is going to be a space tomorrow for us to have a big conversation. From 1 to 3 p.m., it's midweek politics. I'm going to be here. Said Fuad will be here. Victor Achibong will also be here. And I can assure you that this whole idea of civil engagement, responsibilities of us as citizens beyond what the Section 40 allows us to have in terms of our rights to free gathering and protest, we'll break all of that into details for you tomorrow. Keep your dialogue on Milan 98.3 FM by 5:30. The full bulletin would come through, and by 6 o'clock, I will be back to take you through the world of sports. Big stories to talk about on the show today by 6 o'clock. Myself and 𝐴̀gbàtọ́mì will be here to take you through that journey. My name is 𝐴̀gbàtọ́mì Akinyi. Thank you so much, Barrister Adams Atta, for being my guest on the show. Well, I have an intern. Appreciate it. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and keep the dream alive. Sound of Lagos. Have a beautiful evening, and bye for now.
Gender equality is a human rights issue. It is about ensuring that everyone, regardless of their gender, has the same opportunities, rights, and protections. Challenging stereotypes, breaking down barriers, and creating a more inclusive society where everyone is treated